I'm recording a quick timer, yo. Yes. Okay, now play. You have to double click to play, yes?
1, 2, 3, go. What seconds are you on?
4, 5, 6, 7. So we're a little bit off, it's fine.
9.
Childhood is a period of massive development. The brain rewires itself several times over during childhood, and the body goes through extraordinary transitions. This has huge effects on the emotions, intelligence, behavior, and the way children interact with others. The consequences are quite profound. It would seem silly to compare the emotions of a baby in arms with a 5-year-old, or the behavior of primary and secondary school pupils. To do so would not be to compare like with like. Babies and adolescents are almost like different species. But children's services do not pay as much attention to child development as they might. Let us think about this in 2 ways: working with the individual child and working to improve the well-being of all children in a school or community. Let us draw a box. We divide the page into 5 columns and mark them: living situation, family and social relations, physical and psychological health, social and antisocial behavior, education and employment. This is not the only way to categorize dimensions of a child's life, but it will do for the purpose of this illustration. Now the box is divided into 5 rows: pre-birth, preschool, primary school, secondary school, and early adulthood. This is a very crude way of dividing up developmental stages, but again it will help to illustrate the point. Now let's suppose we are working with a child that is behaving badly in secondary school. The teacher sees the child acting out, it's a problem. Now let us look back over the child's development and see what has been happening. We talk to the child and we talk to the parents, and we pick up some facts that might explain what is happening. We focus on health and on physical, emotional, social, intellectual, and behavioral development. As before, there are other ways of categorizing children's development, but this one will do for now. The child is born into a family with mum, dad, and a 2-year-old sister. The child develops well physically, more or less at the same rate as other children of the same age. Nothing unusual either in other areas of development, with nothing unusual to report. But according to mum, when the child gets to 9 years, she starts to get a little sad, and withdraws a little at home and in school. Both mum and the child relate this to the arrival of a little brother who had colic and was quite demanding in the first months of life. It also turns out that the child was frightened by the prospect of moving from the little to the big school. A little more inquiry reveals that mum and dad have not been getting on as well as usual, partly explained by the new arrival and partly by dad moving to short hours in work. The inquiry could continue, but there is sufficient information to begin to see how a view on development makes us think differently about the child's situation. First, we can see some continuities and discontinuities. The child was doing relatively well until the arrival of her little brother and the deterioration in her parents' relationship. There was order in the development. For example, prior to the problems, the child's reading ability was consistent with her enjoyment in school. Developmental gains in one area, such as social and emotional regulation, produced benefits in others, such as attentiveness. It was only in the first year of secondary school that there was a sudden dip in the child's behavior. Now let's take a different question. Improving outcomes for children in a whole school or local authority. This time we make 4 columns, crudely representing the different stages of children's development. A line is drawn across the middle of the page. The top row represents all children. The bottom row, those whose health or development is impaired. Now the school or community can identify the activities that are
You're stopping?
No sound.